Hello and welcome to Wikipedia Weekly Network, here where Albin Larsson and I, Jan Ainali, are editing Wikidata live. Hello Albin, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great as well, because it is Wikidata Data Quality Days.
Exactly. So, what are you planning for today?
I'm gonna take a look at uh, something that has been around for a very long time. I don't think we have touched upon it, but on the property talk pages, there are some really good database reports and queries that you can use for checking quality. What will you be taking a look at?
I think we just discussed it a few weeks ago, but something we haven't done when I've been working on Glaciers is creating a shaped expression schema so that we
Mm,
can verify that a piece of information is correct or following the schema and such. So, being able to use such a schema for data quality and quality assurance. So that's the plan.
great. And I think there has been a lightning talk so far, and there's been mention in the chat. So I think this will be sought after from people. And
Yes.
as you can see in the bottom, I'm gonna remove it soon. The scrolling here, the hashtag if you want to follow on social media is Data Quality Days for these days.
And here is the link to the event page
Yes,
on Wikidata.
super. And there's some new features here in StreamYard, so we're gonna try it out today. If it's too disturbing, I try to set the volume low. We can remove it, but we'll try it out because there's now an option to have your own custom background music. And of course, when we do have listen to Wikipedia, let's try it out. So we'll have this tingling along in the background. so, but but please tell in the chat if it's too disturbing, or if you don't hear it at all. We can raise the volume as well. But yeah, let's get into it. I think can I just? Ooh, yes. So image is one of the properties, and these are available on all properties, and they may vary a little bit, and I'll show you uh, what it is. But first of all, how do you get there? Well, you go to this tab, the discussion, and in general, this is a good way to start when you're having any sort of questions about the properties, because there's a little bit more than you can see in the structured data. Not everything that we have here can be captured by what we have in the statements on the property, and absolutely not the discussions, because that's also a very good thing. But we're not going to go into the discussions now, but because today for quality we're going to take a look at the things here in the green box in the top. And there's always, I haven't seen any yet without. I think there's at least something for everyone. These lists. And these lists have a number of different things, and they're useful for depending on the property. Some are more useful than others. So for example, now we're looking at the image. We can see items with the most statements of this property. That might be interesting, because in general, we shouldn't have that many statements on the image property. So let's just check. And I click this one, open it in a new tab. And we see the actual query that's going to run. It's very small right now. I'll zoom in so you can actually see it. And you could use this as inspiration to create your own queries as well. But for now, we can just run it and see what's happening. And all of these should be possible to just press the play to get some answer. And then, of course, some might take longer time than others. We'll see. If we look here, it's going to make a count on everything that has an image, and quite a few items have the image value. Yes. Here's will it run, will it time out? Place your bets. We'll see. Well, we got something here in just 34 seconds. So, and let's see, what do we have here? And leaf shape. I can sort of see why that would want more than one image. But if we come to something Fort Purbrook, that seems strange, and 58 images. Let's have a look at this, just to see what it could be. And
Oh,
yes,
that extensive.
This is not how this property is meant to be used.
This is more like a commons gallery.
Yes, and especially not this image where we can't even see the fort. Or do we? Maybe we see something of the grass of the fort.
Yeah, I think there's some part of the fort.
Yeah. No, so this is not great. So this is certainly a way where you can find things to clean up. I'm not going to go deleting 58 here at a while. Let's see if I can. What's the number 100? Handlebar mustache. Well, that could be something. A list, yeah. Cemetery.
Here is a good point from Nicholas.
Oh,
because qualifiers could matter as well.
It could matter, yeah. And it's, yeah, they may be kind of okay. There's an argument to be made, like if you have the timestamp and something is changing over time, that it might be useful to have at least something that you can see the evolution of the item in some sort of way, especially if it's commonly referred to in different eras or something like that. You can have something like if you have a famous building, you can have it one from today, but also when it was being built or something like that, if they have been changing, if it's a ruin now or something like that. But here, this is more or less, this is not great, and these don't have any qualifiers. Also a little bit too many to just start deleting, but you could really rack up your edits here by going in and deleting a lot. And possibly even start a discussion if you can see who added a lot here with the person, sort of explain how we try to use the image property. So that was interesting. A massive hit on the first one here, just looking at one of these. And then we have some specific here for this this property, like a list of Wikipedia articles without an image where Wikidata has one. So this one could be an inspiration to go edit on Wikipedia. Same image used for several people. That could be wrong, but it could also be like a group photo. So that's something you could take a look at. And then, of course, we have these database reports, and I'm going to take a look at one of these here. I already loaded one of them because they might be very heavy, like have a lot of information, take a lot of time to load. And as you can see here, lots of subheadings. And as we can see here, these ones can be they might be generated by the constraints, the property constraints on the property. And here we see format violations. So on the image, we shouldn't have any 3D models. I couldn't help myself, so I already cleaned these up So if I reload, or if it has been run, they might be. But let's take. Oh, and here we have a lot of on themes. Let's take a look at this one. What this is. And is this the red article? Yes. I don't think you could hear, but this is some. If we take a look at the file. This is a spoken word version of the article. And I think we have a specific category for that. I don't remember. Spoken. Let's have a look if we can have a spoken. Yes, 989. So we'll move that one. And I have this little move gadget activated, so I can just say to the same entity P989, move it. And so on. And we can remove these. And then there are other sort of like, I guess these are, they have municipality in the name, so they might be on another property, perhaps like a map or something like that. We have here like some value or no value. No value might be possible, but some value, I think it's just bad on images. So there's more to clean up. And one of the good things with the database reports is that you can put them on your watch list and see when something happens. And then here another thing it catches, we have a separate property for collages now. So some of these old ones might also be good to move. This is of course like when you go into image or some of these generic properties, you can have a lot to do, but perhaps you're more specific in some kind of field, and I was going to take a look at that. So and Albin and I, we are working on the wiki project gov directory. We're trying to have nice and clean government agencies. So let's take a look at one of the Swedish agencies here, just to see what they have. Swedish Environmental Protection Agency. Oh, no, that's the report. I should probably have a link back to that one, but let's see first here. Yes, and I'm a little bit interested, like in the office held by head of the organization. That's an interesting property that shows up on a lot of public organizations, and sometimes they are a little bit messy. So let's head into that one and go to the discussion page and see what we find, what kind of reports we find. And here we have some more lists. I think these are mostly generic ones here in the top. I think these all are generic ones, so we don't have any specific like we did on the image. But there are also more than it was there, so perhaps since this is a newer one, it's been added. But let's check the database reports. Let's see what we can find there. Ooh, and here we have something interesting. So self-link violations. I think that means that they refer to themselves as a value. So let's have a look at them. No labels in Swedish or English. That's... Let's see, do we get it in some other language?
French?
Right, French there. Direction de services de... All right. And here we see office held by head of the organization is the same as this item. So it just says, it doesn't make any sense. So I'm actually just going to remove that. I'm going to use my little script edit sum here to say remove self link.
That's
so
a
edit.
good tip. And Nicholas says here, I hate self-referencing, which gives me the wonder, is there valid cases for this type of referencing in Wikidata? I imagine so. There must be.
There might be for some properties, yeah. But not for this one, I don't think.
No, especially, and it depends on the item as well, I imagine.
Yeah,
mostly.
Yes. But you're thinking, like, should we generically turn it off, the possibility to do it? But there might be some extreme...
No, I'm just wondering what fun examples we could find.
Yes. Oh, and yeah, there might be some edge cases. Now let's see, what do we have here? We have United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York. We haven't come to the US yet with Gov directory, but let's clean it up here before that. Oh, here we have immediately something strange. So here we have, like, this item seems to be conflation of several different things, both being the position and the agency. I would prefer that those were, like, separated too, and that might be the case why this is sort of referring, like, someone tried to do the position to refer to government. Have these perhaps been merged? Let's have a look in the history.
We get a lot of good examples here in the chat on self-referring items, languages, countries, fiction. I could imagine fiction and religion having quite a bit.
Yes.
So yeah.
Like Inception, the movie. It's sort of like self-referring in itself. I can't see any merge here. No, it hasn't been merged, so I'm not sure why it's not better. So I would like, did it have... Oh, of course. Then it could be that the Wikipedia article for now is about both.
Yeah.
Yes, so there's a list in here. But here it refers to the officer, which should be about the position, but then of course it could also be a government agency. This is a little bit tricky. I'll leave it for now, but probably this should still be split. We had something like this for one of the Swedish ombudsmen, where it's more or less a government agency of one person, but it is a legal person and an agency. So we split that up into two items.
Yeah.
This is the Minister of Justice of the Catalan Minister of Justice, Catalonia. Let's see. It refers just back to itself here. And in this case, this is about the position, so we shouldn't even have this here. We have the one going in the other direction, and this one is correct.
No.
But this one also has a warning.
The reverse is
doesn't
missing.
link back. All right, so let's see if we can start by going to this one. Or rather, we move this one. because this one is already nice. So let's see. This one should be on this one.
James got a good question here. Is there a way to tag an article with a statement so that it said to say that it should be split?
Ooh, that's an excellent question. So on many projects, and especially on Wikipedia, we have a number of different like merge or split, or sometimes we have something merge into this or something like that. Templates. We don't have that really for Wikidata. We cannot put that nicely.
Yeah.
I know that user UPic has a really good list as a sub page of their user page called detanglement, where a lot of these are listed for future, like, oh, these need to be figured out how they really are, often caused by old bad interwiki links, like where something is about slightly different things, and on Wikidata we want to have them more clean.
Yeah. I wonder if structured data on Wikipedia could help us battle this on Wikidata, so that we wouldn't even need the site link in one direction. We could just have it from Wikipedia to Wikidata rather than the opposite way. That would remove the dependency in general. I think that is something the community should consider once we have structured data on
That's
Wikipedia.
very interesting. Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Just thinking ahead of in the future.
Yeah. But for now, I don't think we have a way to tag this. And I guess if we had it, we would need to put it on the talk page. We could, yeah.
That
we
would
could
be
put it
my
on a
answer as
focus
well.
list, but that wouldn't say that anything would be needed to be done. Perhaps we could have with a qualifier as well on that.
Maybe
but
if one
still,
creates a wiki project just for this type of action, and then it could be tagged with what's the property we use when a group is
there's
kind of
one.
watching it?
Yes, I think it's called something focus list for on focus list for wiki project or something like that.
Exactly, something like that.
That could like a separate wiki project.
Yeah.
That's you're full of good ideas today.
Let's see.
Yes, exactly. Something like this. Articles needing to be split. Yeah. Yep. All right. Now let me move this and see if I managed to get it right. So let's reload this one. Hopefully this one moves away. This exclamation mark goes away as well. Let's, yes, so there, and let's go here and reload this one as well, see if it is connected nicely now. Yes, that's very good. We don't have Spain either yet, but now we're sort of set up here. We're trying to show the ministries, or ministers of the ministries. Nice. What else do we have? Of course, these are things I don't think someone usually meant to put them as being a self-reference, but labels on different languages might make it hard to figure out. Like here we have sort of the same thing, both on the same thing. So this one should be moved to this.
That's a very good point. Someone might just add this because the label says something very similar, or something that means something else in a different language.
Yes, that's also some sort of quality work, keeping the labels up to date or neat.
Yeah. And it might have been added before we had this type of warning as well. So
yes.
Could be a lot of reasons.
Yeah. So we'll move this top one to the bottom one. And it says it was moved. Let's try to reload here. Oh, I should have checked first because it didn't have the warning. And now I bet there's 2 over here. Nope. All right. Beautiful. And here we probably actually fixed something because we do have Ukraine and the ministries. So that's going to be good. Some more fresh data into the Gov directory. Global Justice and Advancement Party. All right. And where do we have the office held? Oh no. I think this is just plain wrong. And this one is also wrong because this is not a position. This is the thing. Okay, so I'm going to remove both of these. Both this 2388 and the 2389. Because they're just referring to the organization, not the offices. So let's see. Let's make sure I have this one on. Remove. Self-link. On this one as well. Oh, yes, it stayed on. Right. Now I think next time this runs, it will only be 1 over here. And then there are some other sort of, let me see if I can figure this out. There are more constraints being violated here. If we take a look at this first one, see if we can see what it is. All right. This one is tricky. I'm going to leave that one for now. I think I saw some other ones that were easier. I think this one is a little bit easier to understand, at least. So this is a historical administrative division. I guess somewhere in Saxony in the 1700s. And this goes to a generic thing, which is of course not great. I don't think I'm gonna fix that now. I'm gonna scroll down, and here we see some other things interesting. Here we have a human, which have the office held by the head of the organization. So this must clearly be something with the translations of the labels that someone added this, because it doesn't really make sense since this is not an organization. So I guess someone wanted to say position held for this. So that this, and I think everyone that are like with the Q5 are going to be the same. And if I scroll down here, I think we have a counter. Yes. So here we see statistics for this, and if I do know here, we see there are 50 humans that had an office uh, held by the organization on them. So here we could actually do a query and do a remove these with the quick statements. I think that would be better than clicking through the 50. But that might
Maybe they
be,
could need some review.
yes.
Sometimes
So
you can
if
kind of see what an editor intended to do.
Mhm.
A lot of edits are with a good
Yeah,
intent, although they end up being wrong.
yes, I would expect that most of these that goes to a human tries to add it as the position held. So maybe
Yeah,
deletion is not the right way, but rather click through them and move and see if they
yeah,
already had them, but probably not. But they might have, because they might be added afterwards because no one saw that this was here.
yeah. I imagine you could even like double check that in the query, like
Yeah.
remove them if they do not have this.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But that might be an exercise for another time. But at least now I've shown you. I think this is the section where you want to go, and specifically under the database reports, there are some really good gems. So if you have a property that you care about in your wiki project, do take advantage of this because it's there to use.
Right. And before I jump into a subpage of database reports, actually, I just want to give a bit of a shout out to uh, two sessions tomorrow at the Wikidata Quality Days with an introduction to entity schemas and shaped expressions, which I'm gonna work with right now. So there is another opportunity to learn and play much more with this tomorrow. So I highly recommend you check that out if you have the time and interest. But with that said, I'm gonna go to this lovely page, Wikidata Database Reports Entity Schema Directory. And this is just an automatically generated list of various schemas that we already got. And because I want to create schema for glaciers today, I'm very much thinking, let's see if we can find something similar here and get started from there, just to save us a little bit of time. And we got various categories here in the contents list. And let's see. I saw sport earlier because I was looking for one I created earlier.
Yeah, it's
But
there.
okay, glacier, geographic location, science. I think geographic location it is. Let's see. Districts, national parks, volcanoes, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Health in region, lunar crater, yeah, possibly. Mountain hill, there we're getting close. Swedish beach, volcano. I see I've already been there once as well.
Yes.
Let's see. Volcano. It seems like, let's have a look what it looked like. Instance of something that is a subclass of volcano. We need something similar for glaciers. Coordinate location is a good one. Country, really great one. Territorial entity, that's a verb. Actually, for glaciers, that is often rather problematic because
Mm-hmm.
of Antarctica. So that one we might not need. Elevation is super interesting for glaciers. Commons category. Image is always good. Continent is really good for glaciers because again, so many are on Antarctica. Material used, not that relevant. Mountain range is another one, and located on terrain feature. Actually, this later one is very often preferred. And then a set of various identifiers. So I think we're gonna start from this one by copying it, but then let's see if we can check some high quality glacier items to see if we can find more inspiration, as well as check a list of various maintenance queries to see if can we implement this check in with a shaped expression somehow. But let's start by copying this. I'm gonna copy all the prefixes, although I don't think I need them. Let's see. Create. We don't have the create page here. Let's go to special pages and see if it's there. Create a new entity schema under Wikibase. Let's see what this looks like. Enter a label in English. I think we just do it like that. I think we can call it generic schema as well. We saw some example of like country-specific schemas. And I imagine you could have it for a specific subclass of glaciers, where it might be more likely that certain glacier types, for example, should always have a speed, because some glaciers move more than others, and so on.
Or groups of glaciers, or
Exactly. Generic schema for glaciers. So let's. I'm gonna leave those out. Here we got a query. I do not know what this property is directly, so let's see. Volcano ID. Okay, so that's the generator they're using. I'm gonna remove the query map for now. Also because I personally do not use that particular feature. I'm gonna show you how I used schemas in a moment. I just wanted to open this one as well. I think we created for Gov directory a while back, because I'm looking for this syntax here, because this looks slightly different, because that is a local URI. That's actually better. I prefer this one. So this is like for a particular shape. So an item could be validated through multiple shapes. For example, if we had this instance of here, and not only did we want to validate it against the glacier, that it has the correct subclass like we're checking here, but we would also like to see that it got specific properties. Then we could create a new like sub schema like this and just reference it here. So
there's a question for the label. Should it be lowercase like items?
let's see what's the most common in. I do not know if we have a preference. It seems like lowercase is slightly more common, so let's go with that. Again, it's a wiki.
Mm-hmm.
And these labels aren't used in the links. We got like an entity ID, so I think we can go with that. So what's going on here then? Instance of something that is a subclass of volcano. Now glacier, let's change the item as well. However, we have two items here, which makes me think that it's not only glacier, volcano, but it's something else currently. So let's see first what this is. That's a volcano. Then let's search for this one. And that's a mountain. So let's... Yeah, that's the main mountain item as well. So I could imagine that would make sense for some volcanoes, that they are both the mountain and volcano. I can see that reasoning for that type of feature. But for glaciers, the mountain and glaciers are always different. Although they are often named the same, because one is just a bunch of ice and one is an actual mountain. Maybe like peak glaciers, where the actual peak of a mountain is just ice and snow. Could maybe be a case where you could merge them, but it's preferred not to. It's gonna search for glacier here to get the QID. I think we might need to change the label here from large, because it's getting less and less common. And I think this is a URI reference, so we need to say VD. No. Maybe not. Yes, we need to say VD. Of course we need. Which is a reference just to the prefix up here, similarly to how it's done in SparkQL. The coordinate location, what's going on here then? We are ensuring that we got a coordinate statement, and we are checking that it has the correct type. I don't think it's necessary to check both of this, because they only accept the type on this one is coordinates. But I'm gonna leave it because it does not make sense to edit right now. I am going to remove the country because it's only like half of the glaciers which should actually have a country. We could make it optional. So let's see, the star. I had a reference here.
So you had it on the government agency.
Exactly. I made a bit of a cheat sheet for myself. Okay, so it's 0 more letter already. So we can leave the country. Again, 0 or more, it's okay. Evaluation about here. Again, this type checking thing is going on here, which I don't think it necessarily. But elevation above sea level. This is something we actually always want. So we actually want 1 or more, so the plus sign, because it can differ widely. So I could imagine with qualifiers, you could say like, here's the lowest point, here's the highest point, especially because moving glaciers are often tilting. Commons categories, or commons category is great. Image, same. Continent, here it's optional, which is completely okay. Materials used, not something we need. Volcano. Topographic prominence, that is indeed something that's used on glaciers sometimes.
Daniel thinks we need an extra star on the country line.
On the country line, let's see. An extra star.
There, yeah.
Indeed. Actually, that's what we're writing currently. Mountain range. It's common, we usually add it, but this one is the more important one. For glaciers, we can almost always expect that they are on a terrain feature if they aren't on Antarctica. However, a lot of them are there.
Could they be on more than one? Unlikely.
No. Unlikely. So that would be it. Mountain range would also be... No, that's here. let's edit the correct one. So it's already set to
Yeah.
101. Part of, I don't see. There are a few cases where we have like a group of glaciers because over time glaciers splits into pieces when they melt, but it's very uncommon and used for specific cases. Let's just clean up the identifiers and let's see if we can try this one out. So, some of these ones could sometimes be, but they aren't. Like the geo names is the primary one here, primarily one, and we can add additional ones later. Let's see. It's a wiki. I think we can safely create this and you see what's, if it makes sense. Maybe I broke the syntax or something when I copy pasted, maybe not. Okay. So let's find a glacier to try this on. We actually don't need this item anymore. We can search for Helax Glacier, Sweden's most southern glacier, which I often use as an example. And you can see I got this box here, which is from a great user script. Let's see if I can share the correct link here as well to it. Could it be that one? I think it is. So highly recommend this one because this got a lot of great features. First of all, I can just enter the number of the newly created one, 369, and check. But if I like do a lot of edits and go from its SparkQL query and such, I can check this box, and when I open a new item, it will automatically give me warnings here. So it says required properties instance of. We got that one. It doesn't say anything else about Watcher ones. We can see on the optional properties here that we got country, image, located in the administrative entity. We're missing geo names, which is slightly surprising. We're also missing this one, which is slightly surprising. And here it just lists the orchard properties that is on the item, but not in the schema. And this one for me is great when I do edit the schema, because I can, for example, see that, hey, it would be cool to have named after, because someone else using the schema could discover it here under optional properties. Or, for example, RL length, thickness. There's just a lot of various good things in here. So I think from that, let's see what we could add. I directly want to add this named after. So I think we're gonna start with that one. And let's get back to the schema. And we click this edit button. So we can actually reuse this and just ensure we got the right ID here, which is 138. Like that, and the name of it, let's just copy it. Oh, I didn't need to copy that one. Let's put it in here because we don't have this nice hover feature here, which we got in the SparkQL editor. And it's already optional here. A lot of glaciers doesn't even have names, although they are large enough to be in Wikidata. There we go, publish. And let's see if I can check again here. And we should have named after as green here now. And this is, again, in my personal opinion, great again, because if someone uses the schema, it won't. This is like a good hint. It's like Recoin, which I got down here, which is another great thing for quality assurance. It like gives me hint about similar items and properties they have, and that's really great. And this is a neat like curated addition. So let's see. Let's go back to edit mode and see what more we had from this. Those two are really good. Let's see. Length is really good. Area is really good. Thickness is also good. We should add them like together. This identifier is also really good. These ones are a little bit optional and rare. But I want to head to my user page about glaciers to check if... No, I did not end up in the right location. No, I did end up in the right location. To see if there are any maintenance queries that could be implemented using this schema. So, for example here, no coordinates is technically implemented because we have, let's see here, this one, which says is not optional because it's not a question mark here, it's a plus sign. So that one we got. Similarly with this one, this ID should really be added because it's almost exist for all glaciers if they aren't historical. That's another like exception. Items with both instance of glacier and mountain. So that's something that we want to avoid, which is something we could add to the schema. Glaciers with country but no continent. That's not a very important one. It's usually important like in Arctic regions where there are a country that makes a claim, or it's like a small island outside of it that's actually a country. Glaciers without coordinate but with Wikidata tag and OpenStreetMap that we can check for. Glaciers with its English label set to glacier. And less than 2 labels without coordinates, that one we got again. Maybe our best bet is this mountain one. Like, because that's such a common example. Let's see what the query says if we run it. That it might be worth enough to check that it should never ever. So we got 11. I think that's a record low. But let's add that to the schema. So here we go. I have no clue how to do a negative one, but I'm sure we can figure out from the documentation. I think we could actually do like this, copy this and change the mountain, and then find a way to check that this should not be true. Let's hope that's how you can do it. Can I get the QID for mountain? There we go. Okay, let's see if we can turn that to negative. That's not it. Let's go back to the database report here. Or maybe Wikidata. Enter the schema. Let's see. Schemas, it is. find a Wikidata schema, write a query, check. I just want to find a link to the syntax. Maybe we can find an example instead. Technical description, Wikiproject schemas. There is a link to the syntax. Let's see what it says here as well. Tools, validators. Okay. I'm just gonna check human. I imagine this one is one that is well worked out. No. Not any negatives. Okay. So let's hope. Could that be it? A schema would not contain any scheme to itself. That is not what I'm looking after. Yes. Is that all? Let's see if we can search for not. Slightly too generic.
Or filter.
Filter. One. Let's see if we can then schema validation, definition, expression, node constraints. Checks import, requirements, notations, simple examples. I think that should be something that's simple. This is slightly annoying. And they have it in the different syntax.
Negation example. Wasn't it? No, that was something else. 5.10.7. Yeah, that was something else.
Yeah.
No, 5.10.7 under the examples there. The last one.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Max 0. That's actually what we want. So, as I understand, then what one should be able to do is to, instead of having a plus sign, say that this should be 0. Do we have an overview or example, or do I just put a 0 there? That doesn't feel right at all. Let's see. Where could we find an actual example? The specification didn't use the syntax either. So let's see here. Danish lexeme, owl, actor, clinic trail. Maybe the Wikipedia article is actually. No. Star again. We got a tutorial, but I imagine as we haven't found the examples, it's unlikely that we will find one either. Let's use a screenshot. That's the different syntax. No, not a lot of information here. That shows the star example, okay. And that's all it shows. Star, question mark, star, and plus signs. Okay, let's see. Data. Or let's see. So I imagine it's either this.
I think it's like that. I was looking at schema 189. It has one with a 1 in it.
Oh. Oh, so like that. Yes, that's incredibly likely then that it should be like that, but with a 0. Let's try that out. We got a query that we can try it against. So let's just put a 0 in there like that. And I'm gonna publish this for now. I still need to add a comment to it, so I'm gonna just be a little quick here. And then let's see, we have a glacier here in Norway that's also a mountain. So and it remembers what I had. I didn't need to copy that. Too many statements, P31. So it didn't actually tell us that, hey, this had a wrong instance of, but it says like this, which is a good hint in my opinion. So
If you
that
try it
appears
on
to
the
work.
regular, on the Helags glacier again, does it still pass?
Yes.
So we didn't say
Go.
P31 should be 0 on everything.
Oh, no,
Oh.
it says it on everything. Which is odd. No, maybe not. I imagine it isn't odd if you knew how to do it, but
Yes.
see if we can just quickly spot it here where we need to leave it for another day. So I imagine a risk could be that it's... No, that's the plus sign there. Is that a plus sign for the... Let's see, count the wings here. 1, 2, 3. But here is 1. Here's 1, 2, 3. Oh. I imagine that that's something that plays in here. That's an interesting one. If anyone got any hints, feel free to give them to me. But for now, I think I'm gonna leave that for another day and get back to it. Let's see. You can probably make it a variable inside. Oh, indeed, I could make another like sub-schema. That could be a trick. Yeah. I think there are a couple of different things to try out there. But I leave that for another day or for another editor who goes ahead and does it before me.
Yes.
Which will grant them an exclusive here. But with that, I think we have gotten somewhere.
All right. Super. And of course, the data quality days, as you see above my head here, it continues tomorrow. It starts at 8 UTC. So early in the morning if you're in Western Europe, and I think it's more or less the full day tomorrow as well. So
Yeah. Maybe I should go to that schemas workshop.
yeah, and there were first one that started at 12 UTC, and then a workshop, or there was like a introduction to entity schemas and checks, and then a workshop after that, both around an hour each.
Yeah. And plenty of author things in the program as well.
Indeed. But I think that one is for this week. And we'll see you around next week again. Happy editing.
And until then, happy editing.